The book of Ruth seems very pedestrian. It seems to talk about small stuff, not big stuff. It's the story of a courtship between Ruth and ultimately a man named Boaz. Ruth originally comes from Moabite stock. She's a convert, and she ends up marrying Boaz. A very nice story, a very charming story, a kind of rags to riches story, perhaps, of this girl who marries Boaz and ends up having a great-grandchild by name of David, who became King David. And certainly, the lineage that emerges from Boaz and Ruth suggests that there is something grand going on here. But if you look at the book itself, it doesn't look like a very spectacular book. Nothing really happens. It almost seems just like a day in the life of Bethlehem. The fact that King David comes from this union seems to indicate that something special is going on in this book. But what was so marvelous about what happened here? What's the big deal in the book of Ruth? That is one of the many focus that this commentary that we wrote in the book of Ruth portrays. Let's think about Ruth as she's portrayed. What other famous person in the Torah does Ruth compare to? First of all, Ruth is not born a Hebrew. She converts. She comes into the people later. Ruth is known for her kindness. Boaz twice speaks of her kindness. The first time he says, I heard about what you've done for your mother-in-law after your husband died. You took care of her. It was a great kindness. Later on, he even seems to characterize Ruth's willingness to marry him, as opposed to any of the various young men, as a kind of act of loyalty to her dead husband, Machlon. Boaz is impressed with her kindness. The kindness of Ruth stands out. Who else is not born a Hebrew but comes into the people later? What other person is also known for their great kindness? It's Abraham. Abraham is not born a Hebrew. He found the faith. He comes into the people. He creates the people. And of course, he's known for his kindness. The longest extended story of kindness that we have in the entire Torah is the story of Abraham and Sarah entertaining the guests, taking care of them, right after Abraham is in pain after his circumcision. Abraham is known for his kindness. Ruth is known for her kindness. And it's not just the general attributes of kindness and conversion that are points of similarities between Abraham and Ruth. It's the language of the text itself. Listen to how Boaz describes the kindness of Ruth. You left behind your father and your mother and your birthplace, and you went to a nation that you did not know yesterday or the day before. Let me ask you, who else left behind their mother and their father? Who else left behind their birthplace? Who else went to a land that he did not know? Of course, it's Abraham himself. Lek leka, go forth from your land, from your father's land, from your birthplace, to the land that you do not know, to the land that I will show you. The language of Ruth is patterned after Abraham. It's almost as if Ruth is a latter-day Abraham, so to speak. But what do we make of that? That is why you want to grab your copy of Nyawo Ruth today and find out.